Welcome back to another episode of Treknicity, a Star Trek podcast. I'm your host, Lars.
And I'm Patrick.
And in this episode, we're going to be talking about first officers best to worst using Tiermaker.
Yep, because of course we're doing Tiermaker. Oh, come on. And I'm getting ready to click it, and Steam jumps up in front of everything. Fuck you, Steam. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me hit my button so I can share the screen. Go live without doing it Bill O'Reilly style. Okay.
Oh, look at you.
Okay.
Look at you. Oh, my
What?
goodness. You're big. It's just you.
Did it not switch over properly?
Nope.
Of course it didn't. Why would it do that?
Because, no, you don't want me to say that.
Go ahead and fix this go ahead and switch it over while I'm looking here. Basically what we're going to be doing is we're starting with Spock, working our way through the original 5 shows. We're going to add Discovery and Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks in as well.
Okay, so here's the thing. This is interesting. I actually had to physically click on over here on Discord. I had to click on your screen share. Your screen share actually becomes a separate video source.
I mean, we can get off that derpy looking shot of me going, "Argh."
No, because I don't have time to fix it.
You're not fixing it at this point. But we got it fixed right now, so that's all that matters.
Right. They can see the they can see the Tiermaker screen, which is the most.
That's what matters.
Because, obviously we have Patrick with us, and of course the sir not appearing in this episode, Brandon down at the bottom. It may look like he's throwing gang signs, but he's not really. He's just doing like the 5 and the Vulcan live long and prosper salute.
Because of course he is. Anyway, so now for our rules, we're going to follow the general rules. We're only going with the exception of Discover, we're only going with the main first officer of each series. No one-offs like Commander Shelby and TNG's Best of Both Worlds or anything like that. Discovery's a little different because I couldn't make sense of it. So we're picking the 2 best from there that we can think of, and we're going to go with those. And as usual, we're only going to put 1 first officer into the S tier. Anybody that's close gets A tier. So let's start with Spock.
Yep. So that's a tough call because we were discussing this before the episode, and
We want to do that.
You want to put him in the S tier?
No, we just want to do that because it's Spock.
Yeah.
But we're not doing that.
No, because I would say that Spock, of course, is the OG first officer. Canonically speaking.
Actually, that's this girl down here, but oh well.
Yeah. I mean, like the OG first officer for a series.
Yeah. Sorry, Major Barrett. Your character didn't make it because you were a pilot. You were a pilot first officer.
Pretty much. Yep.
Which is why she's out.
So Spock, of course, is the original, the most famous first officer, next to probably Commander Riker. Because Spock, the reason why I don't think Spock fits into the S tier is because when you think of Spock, you don't necessarily think of him as a first officer. You think of him as a science officer before anything else. Later, of course, he attains the rank of captain following the events of Chasing After Vigor. But still,
Vigor.
He's always treated as first as a science officer, second as Captain Kirk's right-hand man, not even in the capacity of a first officer, so to speak.
I'd almost say as the first officer he'd be B tier, but I don't think we can ever put him below A tier just because it's him. So we're going to put him at the bottom of the A tier, but Yeah, for those reasons.
Yeah, fair enough.
So let's jump onto the D and whip us some Will Riker in here.
Yeah, I definitely think he belongs in the A tier. He is by far my favorite first officer. I mean, he is basically TNG's man whore. He is also the creator of the Riker maneuver. That is, sitting down in a chair with his leg over the back.
Which was because Jonathan Frakes was kind of messed up and couldn't sit down normally. So there it is. Gotta come up with weird.
That's right. But still,
now I will say he is one of the contenders for S tier, but we have not gotten through everybody. We will probably pick our S tier by the time we get to the end.
yeah,
But yeah,
I would say
for 6 seasons, he has been one of the most awesome first officers of them all. First season doesn't count because he didn't have the beard. So first season, he's like a good first officer. He gets better as it goes on. Yeah. Obviously, when he takes command of the ship, he is spectacular. I mean, like I said, I referenced Best of Both Worlds earlier because he took over, grabbed up Liz Shelby as his first, and said, "Hey, let's go." And they kicked ass until Picard came back because, of course, Picard came back because he's Picard.
Yep.
Which actually I forgot to mention. That was the thing. We couldn't really agree that there was much of a command structure in Picard. Not enough to really warrant picking a first officer.
Yeah, and that's right. Because I mean, might get an honorable mention. Raffi, the character of Raffi, might get the distinction of a first officer. But realistically, in the series of Picard, because most of it takes place aboard Chris Rios' ship La Serena. Of course, Rios is the captain. Picard would technically probably fit the role of first officer, but then again,
we're not doing that for Jean-Luc.
Yeah, it's just a little convoluted. So we just
flipping captains and first officers is kind of insane. We'll save that for Discovery.
Yeah.
I also forgot to look at even check Prodigy, but then again, it's a kids show.
And again, based on the character, the structure of those and how those characters are serving, because first of all, they're not Starfleet, and two,
okay, then they're out.
There is no real defined command structure, with the exception of which character is technically in the lead.
Okay, so that brings us to DS9's Kira Nerys. Actually, not a Starfleet officer. So,
well, technically, she does become one. I know she works for the provisional government as a major, then as a colonel. But if you count STO, she does end up going on to becoming a Starfleet officer.
But that's not really canon, and we're only judging by the series. Now, obviously, I think she's going to be the other big one.
Yeah, I could not, in good conscience, put her above Will Riker. It's a tough call putting her above Spock, but again, she does fit that traditional role of a first officer.
She supported Ben Sisko, and their relationship between commanding officer and second in command and emissary and devout follower created an insane dynamic. I mean, they just feed off of each other in ways that are unique.
Agreed. The reason why I'm comfortable with her being ahead of Spock is because technically, despite the fact that Spock was officially the first officer of the Enterprise, I always felt like he was less of a first officer and more of a co-captain.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay, so I'm going to make a preliminary. I think we're going to put Will up to the S tier for the moment.
Okay.
Somebody could bump him out, but yeah, I needed to have your thoughts on Kira, because I was kind of between Kira and Riker as to who goes to that top slot. But
for me, it would have been Riker all day long. I love Nana Visitor's Kira Nerys, but come on, Frakes, 2 takes Frakes, come on.
Let's be honest. Who was more entertaining in their Lower Decks episode?
Exactly.
Uh, okay. So, unfortunately, now we have to go to Robert Beltran's Chakotay. Let's
Right.
just you know, I decided none of the first officers on here are truly bad, and except for maybe the Discovery mess, but that's the Discovery mess, and you're pretty much going to be ranking that one. I'm putting him at the very bottom, but we're only going to put him C tier because when Chakotay hits, he hits well. He does his job to support the captain and run the crew and do his thing. The problem is the writers basically took a shit on that character.
Agreed. So the best. I mean, this is actually a really good spot for him because C in American academics represents the average. And while Robert Beltran does have some shining moments, he has some garbage moments. So when you put them together, you get a good solid average performance. He's good, but you can only polish a turd so much.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's pretty much what the writers gave him to polish.
Pretty much, yeah.
It it was sad.
So I'm comfortable with that one.
So, well, that was quick and painful because involved. Okay, so that brings us to Paul.
To Paul, I want to put in the B tier because the reason why is because one, even when there really wasn't much for her to do, her screen presence, not just because she was in a cat suit, um, was really good.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
there's an episode in the second season called Carbon Creek, where she gets her kid off behind behind a hanging sheet. So of course you get the silhouette of full boobage, but
Are we just gonna drool over Jolene Blaylock?
not on camera.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to discount any of her. Damn, that's a nice form to look at, because that's not what we look for in a first officer.
Exactly.
T'Pol was strong despite having clashes with the humans on the ship. She molded into the first officer slot very well, supporting her captain even when the Vulcans who were her bosses were being dicks.
Right.
Which in Enterprise they were dicks a whole lot.
Yeah, until the episodes in the fourth season where we start to see Vulcans after finding the Kirshara start to turn towards the more rational, logical, less xenophobic Vulcans that were portrayed in the first three seasons of Enterprise. Now the thing is also the reason why I have her in B tier over Beltran is that there was a significant amount of growth of the character in a much shorter time span.
Whereas poor Chakotay started decent and then it's like, oh, what do we do with him? Oh, we'll just put him aside. Hey, we got 7 of 9. She's got boobs. Bye bye, Beltran.
Yep, and then of course the finale of Voyager, they snuff him, so it's like, all right.
Yeah, that was a mercy kill.
So,
Okay, so that brings us to Discovery.
okay, all right.
So
So here we go. Okay.
So yeah, I don't have a lot. So let's start with the first officer in the show, on first of the Shinzal before she moved to Discovery, and then eventually became first officer, then became captain. Let's do Michael Burnham.
Yeah, Michael Burnham. Okay, so I know this is probably going to be a little controversial, but I am going to have her in the D tier. The reason why I have her in the D tier is not because the character is bad, not because Sonequa Martin Green is a bad actress, but because the character was not portrayed in a way that exhibits the qualities of a good first officer. I mean, there was lots of character development, but they kind of just shoehorned her over, like she leapfrogged over Saru to become captain of Discovery. And the thing is that I understand that they made their arguments for how they handled the storylines from Michael Burnham basically mutinying on the Shinzo, and then, through things happening the way they happen, ends up becoming first officer under Saru on Discovery, and then leapfrogs him to become captain later on. Again, not a lot of good real character development. My biggest criticism of Discovery has always been that they have written it just like any other CBS drama. And it's almost formulaic. And I mean, I know they're not the same writers, but for some reason they still keep hitting the same way. So when you're sitting there and you're just like, really? This is the story they want to go with this character? There's just so many more avenues you can go with. You went down this road? Like, you kind of just made her into, yeah. But regardless, back to my point. My point being that as a first officer, not the best. If we were ranking captains again, maybe.
And if we were talking about the best character, she'd probably overtake a few people here. Because from what I heard from non-haters is that the character's really compelling and things like that. But we're ranking their quality as first officer.
Agreed. Yes.
So yeah, if you want to put her in D tier, that's on you. I can't really say. So yeah, like I said, when I was trying to put this together, I discovered it was just a cluster. So that brings us to Saru.
Yeah. Saru, I would actually put probably, I would say probably
he going high B, or is he going to join Spock and Kira?
No, I think actually for Saru himself, I'm gonna put him below, like low B.
Okay, so and why is he going low B?
Low B because again, great character, great portrayal of the character, but not a significant amount of serious development. Not as much as to Paul.
Yeah. So, yeah. Obviously I don't have much because I still have yet to try to watch Discovery, and I dread watching it. But I'm going to one day because completionism.
Yeah. There, just like with anything else, there are some good and some bad. More bad, in my opinion, than good, but not, not let's flush it bad.
Not the actors, not the characters, because obviously they do some things right.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely.
Not the Starfleeting part, but
we're Starfleet.
But it's a Starfleet show, damn it! It's worth doing.
Exactly.
Isn't that? I love Lower Decks. So let's go with the first officer ever put on screen for Star Trek, but not Majel Barrett's version. Number one, the OG number one, Una Chen Riley herself,
portrayed by
Rebecca Romaine. Where are we putting Una?
Let's put Una in the A tier. I want to put her below Spock.
Okay.
And only because, again, I think that they are still holding back a little bit too much on the so what I'm trying to say, the development, the character development.
And it's possible she may not even be back. Maybe. We don't know exactly what's going to happen there. Because she also has the weakness of only having one season. And how many episodes was the season? Like 10? 15 10 episodes? We've only had 10 episodes of her. So she could rise past Spock. She is quite capable to being the best first officer on the OG Enterprise over the one that we couldn't put below A because it's Spock.
Yeah, I mean we'll see what happens, what they do with her if she returns. The other thing is that I feel like they really did go down the Mary Sue route with her. So spoiler alert. it is revealed early on in the first season of Strange New Worlds that she is
Illyrian.
Illyrian, yeah. Which, apparently, according to Starfleet, they are, they're banned. They're not allowed to be in the Federation because they practice genetic manipulation.
And she uses that handy genetic manipulation to solve a lot of shit real fast.
She does, yeah.
So, comes in handy. I mean, I don't know if I think they'll give her some flaws if she comes back, or there'll be something that goes on. So, again, definitely, anytime she's on screen, she's been good on screen.
Yes.
There's not a lot of baggage, and yeah, she could fall down into the B tier, but I doubt that.
Right. We'll leave her in the A tier.
Strange New Worlds is such a good show. I don't think any of those characters are below A tier quality, because just damn.
Yeah, agreed. I would almost be willing to move Kira into a co-S tier position.
Yeah. But like I said, our rule, we want to try to keep it one person in the S tier.
Right.
So
that takes us to
if we were doing co-S, yeah, Kira's right up there immediately. I will say that. So that brings us to the Cerritos, to Lower Decks and Jack Ransom. Where are you putting Ransom?
Ransom's got to be a solid B. I'm gonna put him below Saru, because we really haven't seen a whole ton from him just yet. Good, solid performance, not average, above average performance, but not a ton yet. Like, he pops in and pops out. So
it's the quirkiness of Lower Decks and the fact that they don't even focus on the command crew. So he's at a little bit of a disadvantage there.
Right. So what we have seen from him, good, solid performance from Jerry O'Connell, but still, I think he fits right there on the B tier.
I think when he shows one of a nice, good first officer moments is when he is in the last one in what was the name of the damned episode?
The Crisis Point 2 Paradoxes.
Crisis Point 2. Yeah, he has Mariner in his office and is giving her an evaluation, and he's acting like a first officer should. Now we know that a lot of the show usually makes them look kind of a little bit dopey at times, but generally when he's doing his first officer stuff, he's doing it well. Earlier in the episode, he's tossing phasers to Shax and Kayshawn, and they're going off to kick some Rami ass.
Yep, exactly.
He doesn't mess around. He goes and does his thing. But yeah, obviously here they've got 3 seasons, which Discovery's a little bit ahead of them, but there's just not the development there that we've seen with, say, the Lower Decker characters. Those are the ones we focus on. We haven't had really a Ransom episode.
Not yet.
We have bits and pieces.
Right, exactly. So, which is why I leave him in the B tier for now.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully he's not Chakotay.
Poor Robert Bertrand. So there we have it. That is our tiered list using Tiermaker software. I really like this platform because it allows us to have a great interactive discussion while we show our viewers who are watching the video feed of this just how our thought processes work.
Yeah, and the greatest part is Will Riker's beard pushed him ahead of Kira. So maybe Kira should have had a beard, because then she might have been S tier.
Possibly, because she was pretty badass.
Oh yeah, I mean, if we had to do badass first officer, she would have kicked Riker's ass.
I think Kira's beard has got to be the name of my new college radio rock band.
I'm just thinking how we can make that worse. I just made it worse.
Yeah, I know. So that's all the time we have for this episode of Treknicity. Thank you again for everybody who watches the show and who follows us. Be sure to check us out on social media. Also, go to our website and go to our Anchor.fm site, Anchor.fm/Treknicity, so that you can see where we have our episodes, and you can listen to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and now iHeartRadio. As always, here on Treknicity, I'm Lars.
And I'm Patrick.
And remember to rock out with your Spock out. We will see you next time.